Hello everyone. As you may know, I'm currently working on making an HO train layout. I've been working on this project for a while, and I've already made 2 shorts adding scenery, as well as a longer video touring what's on the layout. In this video, I'll be following up on the shorts and adding scenery to the third part of the layout, the yard. So with that all said, let's get started. The first thing I did was remove everything currently on the table. This included all the road vehicles and buildings. I also moved all the engines to the back table so they weren't in the way. After this, I was able to remove the track and vacuum the yard area, which left a clean open space to work. Once this was done, I began adding the ballast. I decided to start with the area between the track, as I wanted to test laying down the ballast before doing the large yard area. A paintbrush was used to apply glue to the foam, and once it was fully coated, I covered it in ballast. While the glue dried, I used some gray paint to cover the yard area. This was done so that the foam wouldn't be visible after I added the ballast. You may notice I didn't do this for the ballast in between the track, and the reason for that is because I forgot to do it. Once it had dried, I used a vacuum cleaner to remove the excess ballast from in between the rails. Here's what that looked like when it was done. Then it was time to add ballast to the yard. I used the same technique as I did for in between the rails, however this time I did the ballast in smaller sections. This was done so the glue wouldn't dry up as I placed it. This part of the process took a long time. I think it took about half an hour to get the yard fully covered. This was definitely the most satisfying part though, and seeing the yard get covered in ballast for the first time was really cool. I ended up running out of ballast before I reached the end of the yard. I decided to use a technique I discovered while making the road, where I use a spatula to brush off excess ballast, which is then collected into a bin. To do this, however, I would need to separate the 2 tables. After the tables were separated, I was able to go in between and collect some of the excess ballast. I ended up collecting about 1/3 of the bottle, which allowed me to finish the yard and even have some ballast left over. After I had finished putting the rest of the ballast into the yard, it was time to flatten it out. To accomplish this, I just used the vacuum cleaner again. After I got the ballast laying flat, I was able to reattach the 2 tables and remove the tape. Once this was done, the track was also put back in place. With the track back in place and the yard fully covered, I was able to start bringing back some of the things that had been in the yard previously. This included bringing back the wall with the road on top, and also bringing the engines back to their spots in the yard. The first new thing I decided to add was this bridge that crosses over the track and connects to the wall in the yard. I made this tunnel using the extra pieces from various Metcalf model card kits. The pieces were cut out and glued to foam to give them some structure before I glued them all together to form the tunnel. I'm very happy with how this tunnel turned out. I think it could look a bit better, but for being made out of extra pieces of card, I think it looks pretty good. Once the tunnel was fully in place, I added some of the other buildings, including this small warehouse and loading dock. This is definitely my favorite set of buildings I added to the yard. I just think they make a great centerpiece for the yard area, and they also look really great surrounded by trains. I especially like having engines parked in front of the platform, so it looks like they're being loaded up with cargo. Behind the warehouse, I've hidden this scrap engine. I got the body of an old Great Western engine at a garage sale, which I then painted and covered in grass. I think it's fun having this engine hidden behind the warehouse, and he makes for sort of a fun Easter egg. I made sure to put back the signal box, as well as all the buffers in the sidings. With the main buildings now in place, I was able to start adding some of the smaller details. I added this crane in front of the warehouse, and a little bin of gravel behind it. The crane also came with a chain and a hook, so I made sure to attach that also. Once the crane was fully in place, I added this little shed in front of it, complete with this little barrel as extra detail. With those all in place, I was able to start adding some greenery. I still had a lot of grass tuft left over from when I made the Down the Mine diorama, so I decided to add some of those in the yard. I made sure to add some of this clump foliage to the yard also, as well as some of these spare engine wheels that I spray painted brown to look rusted. With that, the yard was basically complete. and I was able to run some engines. And with that, part 3 of the layout is now complete. Thank you so much for watching all the way to the end. I really appreciate it, and I hope you enjoyed seeing me make this part of the layout. There are still lots of things I would love to add to the layout, such as an engine shed in the yard, as well as something on the blank area on the left side. If you'd like to see me continue this project in the future, consider subscribing so you don't miss my future layout updates. But with that all said, thank you so much for watching, and I will see you in the next one. Bye!